Alright, welcome to episode 13. This video is going to be a lot of the same stuff we've been doing in the past videos. Thankfully, it's less tearing out and more adding stuff. We're putting in some sill plates, some rim joists. Um, but to get started, I have some pictures I'm just going to talk over real quick, and then we'll get into some more normal time-lapse videos. Alright, here's an up-close shot of the northeast corner of the house. You can see our J-bolts are in there. We ended up filling the voids of all the other ones as well. The J-bolts, as you can see, are wet concrete, and those are actually concrete in there. The rest of them we just filled loosely, and then as it rains and gets moisture in there, that'll all solidify. We got all the joists in here. We ended up fixing part of some of the bottom of that wall, and now we're going to put sill in. Alright, now this is the east side of the house. It's kind of hard to tell in this picture, but there's two 2x4 walls like we've said in previous videos. But the outside one, all the way along where you can see this OSB, is gone. It's rotten. It's gone. So I ended up just ripping it out. There was some left, but not much I wanted to salvage, so I got rid of it. And then you can see on the bottom, just like previously, we got our J-bolts cemented in. And then this OSB and plastic and stuff is just temporary to keep the house closed up when we're gone for the night. And then concrete in all the other holes. And then here's a close-up on the inside of the same corner we've been looking at, the northeast corner. You can see how far off the wall on the east is from the one on the north. So if you look at the center of this picture, you can see where the bottom of the 2x4 stops is like 1.5 inches apart. The one on the left is about the right height it should be, and the one on the right is 1.5 inches lower than it should be. So that whole wall is going to have to come up a lot. Here's another view where you can see kind of the whole wall. We tore off the siding, and then you can see on the left where, like right in the middle of the house, the second wall starts and isn't rotten. And then all the way to your right hand of the screen, it's all gone. Some of the inside wall was rotten too, but not much. Pretty much just the bottom plate. Um, and then it's pretty much prepped for sill plate here. And then once we get the sill and get the floor on, we'll rebuild this wall back on top of that floor. Is the plan right now, at least. So I think I talked about this a little bit in the last video, but I ended up having to get these steel plates to put them on the bottoms of everywhere I was going to put a jack, and then we actually used them on the places where we lifted the walls on the top and the bottom, so they didn't eat into the board and actually went up instead of crushing the wood. So this is all I did. I ended up just having to buy these plates. Some of them I had to cut in half. This is all they had at Menards that was this thick. It's 1/4 inch steel plate, and they're 4x12. So cutting them in half worked perfect for the ends, and then I actually cut some in half to put on these, but that's just the size they had. Alright, so we spent all morning trying to fight to get this joist in. Right above us, literally right there, is a wall that runs along this way. So there's a lot of weight on this. And if you can see up there, there is nothing left of the old joist. And anyway, it was sitting down below that block. So it was sitting on the sill plate, but obviously the sill plate is laying down there in the bottom. And then it wasn't laying on anything. So then we finally got this joist under it. So now this wall is supported. You can see it's at least laying on the block now. So it won't cave in on me. And then there's only one left. All the way down there that needs replaced. There's already a new joist in every single one. Here's some of the damage we got from lifting it up. This is something that's just going to happen when you lift up different parts of a house. So pretty much what happened here is where the two sheets of drywall meet, that tape line, when the house shifts different ways, it popped. So this one specifically is right, this is the wall I've been talking about from under, that I was just talking about in the previous clip. And it sounded like a gun went off when this popped. So it just shifted sideways and the whole seam, boom, ripped all at once. Alright, so this is the second sill plate we're going to put in on that wall. And I just wanted to show what we're doing to put the J-bolts in. I have some pictures that I can maybe put in here, but the J-bolt is just what you think it is. It's a long bolt with a little J on the end. So it goes down in the concrete and holds. So you take a whole cinder block, you fill it up with concrete, you put that J-bolt in it, and it's got that J-hook at the end so it won't
pull out or move, or it lets it anchor better in there. But since we're gonna have to slide it under these floor joists, we don't have enough room to lift it up and set it on top. If you're building a house or on this wall, or here's a J-bolt right here. Like on this wall, we'll be able to just drill a hole and pick the board up and set it. But since on this wall, we have all these joists to lift up, we're gonna have to slide it. So I drill the hole, and then I just use my jigsaw to make a slot. Because we're gonna have to reach up and slide it under, which I'll try to get a video of. So let's do that next. One more thing that's really important is to put something on the bottom of your sill plate. This seems to be like the most recommended thing. It's this foam. It's got ridges in it, and it'll like collapse and make a good vapor barrier from the concrete, which concrete's porous and will always have water in it, to your board. Your sill plate's the only thing that contacts the brick. So this is like the most important thing to not get rotten out. You always use treated lumber for these, and then you should put this barrier to further protect it. So we're just gonna staple this on here. Again, if we were building it new, or maybe on this wall we'll be able to, we would just roll this and lay it down. But since we have to slide it in there, it's gonna slough off. So we're gonna staple it to the board, and we even go, we went around the edges a little bit. So the board we have in there is like this too, and we'll butt them together. So hopefully we'll get a good seal all the way around. All right, so we're down here. You can see our first piece of sill plate stops right there, and we're going to put in the second part. But this is proved to be the hardest part of this whole wall, at least, and the hardest part I've even done yet. So above me, there's a wall. And that wall is very heavy. So I got this big beam going across to lift most of the weight. I got this small little beam deal to just lift up straight on the wall, but that wasn't really working. You can see I'm kind of crushing into the boards a little bit. So I have this also over here. So I'm using 4 jacks just to get this one set up. So I got this jack here that's only catching these 2, because that one was a little low. That didn't have a ton of weight on it. It was just a little low because the end of this beam's all the way out here. And now we're back to how we put the joist in the first place, and we have this going all the way up to the wall. It's definitely the scariest part we've done yet. So hopefully this goes well. I'll try to put this in a place where you can see something, but it's hard for me to even see anything.
So here we're just kind of fighting to get this sill plate in. Just trying to see how it fits and see if it'll fit in there. We ended up struggling with the bottom material just kind of getting caught. So it really had to be like a 2-inch gap. So the 1.5 inch board plus that foam could slide in there was really our problem. So, and all the joists were sitting on the brick or below it in those couple spots where the board was rotten and sunk in even further. So we had 2 inches of lift in a lot of these places, and that's a lot of distance to lift a house.
Oh, it's a little sketchy down here. We've lifted up. It's pretty sketchy down here. I've lifted up a little more. I'm just like bouncing between the jacks because one jack will get real heavy, and then I'll lift up the next one to just evenly distribute the weight off that. But you can see I'm starting to get a gap. We need 1.5 inches and some change to be able to fit this board in there. I think we're pretty close, but not quite there. So I just crawled over here to get to this other jack and noticed how high we have the whole house lifted. That is crazy. That beam is not touching that support at all. All the weight is in all these jacks. We just about got it high enough, but this one on the end is giving us trouble. So I'm over here to jack this up a little higher.
We eventually get it high enough and get this piece of sill plate in. But the rest of the video is just going to be time lapse and some music over it. So, made it this far. Thanks for watching. Come back next week, Friday at 3.